Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Roaming Prepper channel, and thank you for joining me on this not quite Christmas week. Um, Actually, it's kind of weird. My boss came up to me and said, "You're running out of year to take the vacation days you have." So, I actually got to take a couple of days and just kind of do dumb things and hang out. So, that was nice. Hello, hello. Hello, Loretta. Thank you for joining us as always. Hey, Joe. And Joe loving Walmart today. Joe's got a whole story about Walmart, which he shared with me on an offline chat. Yeah, that's the hey Brad, howdy howdy, and Angie, welcome. I hope everyone's doing well today. I got to tell you, uh, it has been a rough week for a lot of folks. Truthfully, the what happened in Kentucky uh, and a few other places in the Heartland is just the people of Walmart. Actually, the official people of Walmart, lucky, not the unofficial peoples. So, yeah, Heroic had a great haul, by the way, on his channel the other day, and I missed Lucky. I was actually uh, unbreaking something, but I didn't earn a wrench yet. I need to give you a wrench and put Joe back on too. Unfortunately, I don't know how to do that in StreamYard. I need to fix that fun. But yes, and actually you and I need to talk but I had something to ask you offline. So um but it would be interesting either way. But in any case, do they get the official ones get a trophy for being extra Walmarty? Uh, I don't know, Joe, would they get an award for being extra Walmarty? Uh, that's uh, that's a um, that's a Joe question because Joe's hey Arkansas. Uh, yeah, Joe's been having a moment. I think it's a combination of crappy supply chain and amazingly incompetent or don't give a shit factor of the people. There's no other way to explain it because as you saw in the comment above, another store was able to get done in 48 hours what Walmart could not accomplish in 9. So, actually, Joe, you gave me my first talking point, and I've mentioned it before. The five forces of business. One of them is the power of the supplier, right? Walmart is a supplier, and they're being, hey, cat lady, how are you? Hey, Stuart. And Stuart has returned his old logo, which is very cool. Something back order. I'm posting a new video soon. Liquor going up 15%. Oh, that's gonna suck. Hey, Klingon. What does Lucky have? Oof. Yes, and actually have people in my family who suffer from vertigo. That's you're doing things and all of a sudden your your lights don't go out. Somebody moves all the Christmas lights, and then everything becomes weird. And but you could get you hurt if you're on a ladder and you catch a spell like that. Um, yeah, so liquor going up. Although to be fair, from a business standpoint, I guess if there was a high demand, I'd want gain a little profit too. Uh, but in any case, to Joe's point, and I think Heroic just agreed, the power of the supplier. Well, you have alternate suppliers, so as Joe mentioned, he shuffled suppliers and was able to have some success there. And of course, if you move to a new pharmacy or new provider, you're now a new client. So it may take them a little while to kind of fit you into the scheme of things. But yeah, the People's Republic of Walmart stores have not been uh, great to a lot of people, and I'm kind of this disappointed with that store. Not that I should be surprised. I don't think any of us are surprised. Um, but guys, I know, I believe it is Oh, good Lord, off the wall prepper. I don't know if they physically went to Kentucky or if they're dropping supplies in Kentucky, but her and her church group and her community were loading, and I only caught snippets. Oh, hey, Mom Survival, how are you? Yeah, and yeah, it's the supply chain, but I also think it's geopolitics and some stupid. Walmart gave my dad the wrong. Oh Lord, that's not bueno. So yeah, so Joe's first got the first talking point of the day with a practical power supplier. Man, he just went somewhere else, and understandably, the new pharmacy has to take some time to get things done, and they still got it done in half the time. So you know, hopefully that will do or bring some money. I'm assuming we're you would think because I'm yeah, it's just I hate going to Walmart. You know when I like going to Walmart? At 6 a.m. There's nobody there, or 6:30. I'm done with my run before I go to work. I go there if I absolutely need can't find something anywhere else or it's just convenient and there's nobody there. I love it. Just the people and they're awake because you go there at 5 in the afternoon when everyone's coming from work and it's just awful. Uh, like who the hell wants to partake of that? So, um, the first thing I'm gonna share with you guys today, I don't think you could. I hate when this stupid window thing opens for no reason. Uh, I'm doing something on my keyboard and then Windows open that I don't like. Ah, it has a picture of Fauci. Someone says it out loud. Most of the country has already moved on from COVID. Oh, that'll be a good article for later. We'll see what that says. Um, but first and foremost, let's talk about this one here, which is really this is really a bad deal. Mr. Joe, uh, I'm mad. Oh, there he goes. Hit it with control. Yeah, yeah. I can't explain that, brother, at all. I'm gonna share this with you guys because this is pretty. I think this is relevant because this is probably the biggest example of a SHTF I could think of, especially one that comes out of the blue. So let's see if I can get that screen going here. And let's get some audio. Hold on a second, folks, while I argue with this thing. And the video doesn't want to come up now. You know what's going to happen? It's going to blow our ears off here in a second. Um, anyway, Kentucky. Uh, Confirmed death toll from Friday's devastating tornado outbreak continues to rise. Uh, uh, they're estimating 74 people have been killed. Um, let's see. Everybody was falling to the bottom of the bill. Okay, in Kentucky, at least 8 people.
Quilted Northern Ultra Soft
Seriously.
and Strong is made using an energy efficient process. Three
So
trees
now the
are also
commercial comes
planted for
on.
each one used because doing something good for the
We don't need to.
environment.
By the way, don't forget potty paper. I guess that's a good reminder. I don't even know what to say to that foolishness. Uh, in Kentucky, at least 8 people were killed in a candle factory in Mayfield, where more than 100 were inside when the tornado struck. Everybody was falling to the bottom of the building. All you heard was screaming and hollering and people howling for help me, help me. And you're crying, you want to help them, but you can't help them because you're trying to dig yourself out from what you were in. And honestly, that looks like something out of Hiroshima. Um, okay, let's see if this dingbat thing will. Seriously, no, it doesn't want to. Sir, my technology is telling me to go take a leak. All right, so we won't watch. It's going to come on again here in a second. Um, all right, we'll stop sharing up nicely at all. Seriously, I took it off and now it started. Let's try this one more time, my friends. Holy heck. All right, hold on. I guess we don't have audio. Let me try this again, guys. Thank you, Lucky, for pointing that out. Let me let's try this one more time. I don't know why. It does look like they got bombed, doesn't it? So let's see if we can get this thing going again.
Entire state. This tiny, close-knit
Let me know if you guys
community
can
where
hear this.
every home, for as far as the eye can see, looks just like this one. The destruction is indescribable and the loss unfathomable. Tens of thousands are without heat, water, or electricity, and it is cold here, and it is only going to get worse with temperatures expected to dip below freezing by the end of the week. But for the many people that we've met here, losing their homes is nothing compared to losing their loved ones. And today, the saddest news of all, the number of children taken in this tornado outbreak. The devastation spans 6 states. Victims range in age from infants to an 8-year-old. Massive tornado with winds as strong as a Cat 5 hurricane touched down in central Arkansas and remained on the ground for more than 200 miles as it destroyed everything in its path. President Biden, who declared an emergency declaration for Kentucky over the weekend, will travel to the field and hard-hit Dawson Springs on Wednesday to survey the damage. He has promised that his administration will do whatever is needed to help those devastated by the storms. And as we heard, here on the ground, that help is desperately needed. Tonight, no one here is giving up hope. Rescue team continue looking for survivors. This once-in-a-century twister through the heart of America. More than 1,000 homes across 18 Kentucky counties reduced to rubble.
It's just upsetting, you know, to know that that's the town that you grew up in and everything, you know, his memories is all gone.
This western town of Mayfield, Kentucky, population 10,000, is the worst of the tornado's war zone. More than 30 twisters ripped through 6 states on Friday night, from Arkansas all the way up to Illinois. And the death toll is climbing. Today, we learned in Kentucky alone, at least 74 are confirmed dead.
Of the ones that we know, the age range is 5 months to 86 years, and 6 are younger than 18.
With more than 100 still missing, we met paramedic Bob Wagner and his bloodhound named Ken's.
The dog can make a lap around the property generally, and we know if somebody's in there or not. So the dog makes this work so much quicker and so much more efficient.
As we toured this devastated neighborhood, a radio call came
Where?
at a home where a cadaver dog hit a scent.
They're forcing entry. The dog's hitting.
It was a false alert, heart-stopping moments everywhere.
We had to climb through all this to get out.
We went in a little small closet right there.
Karima and Robert Bright say hiding in the only closet in their home with their 7-year-old grandson saved them.
I was laying on top of my grandbaby and they're on the floor and he was on top of me, whole door. And the roof just flew right past. Everything but our lives.
But there's no shortage of heartache. As Karima told us, her family is mourning a child lost.
I have a niece. She lost her son. 3 or 4 years old.
75 miles northeast of here,
Now look,
parts
Erosion.
of Dawson Springs, Kentucky are decimated. Tonight we are learning of the youngest known victim, 2-month-old Oakland Coon, who was hospitalized after the tornado flung her into a neighbor's yard while strapped into the car seat her parents thought would keep her safe. She died of her injuries.
She was a beautiful little girl and grown up to be awesome.
But gifts of kindness from America are pouring in. More than $6 million sent to a Kentucky relief fund.
We're also seeing destruction met with a lot of compassion, I'm told. Everywhere they go, people volunteering, talking, asking for that they not only get help, but how they can give some help. And so we continue to pray for everyone.
There's that physical and financial help, but it's also the emotional help is needed, because we learned today that 7 children were killed in Warren County. That's not far from here, including 2 infants and a 4-year-old. In the tiny town of Dawson Springs, the youngest known victim is a 2-month-old. And CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano will have more from that baby's grandmother coming up.
So tough to see, but also an important thing to think about is, you know, I know when Harvey hit, people were notified. You know, people. You know, the hurricane's a slow-moving thing, right? Unless someone completely screws up, you kind of know it's coming, and what your problem is the uncertainty and the breadth of the thing. Obviously, the storms came. They knew the storm front was coming, but you don't know the magnitude of the tornadoes. I don't know. I believe it is formally a state of emergency, NC Girl. But again, I know, for instance, Governor Abbott before the hurricanes and Governor Perry before him, before Ike, they preemptively declare a state of emergency. And what that does, that authorizes local counties to start making requests in advance. So, for instance, like Port Arthur, which got really hammered by Ike because Harvey just sat there and peed on southeast Texas and just tore everything up, mainly flooded everything. They were able to call ahead. And so assets, Red Cross, Salvation Army, whatever the DTMS, FEMA, already had stuff staged at San Antonio, in Dallas, in other areas. Yeah, and that's exactly it. So you wind up with two. You wind up with 2 types of situations, right? One, you know it's coming, you can kind of deal with it. The tornadoes, as Lucky points out, you don't know, right? You know there's a storm. By the time you may get an alert on your phone, you might have minutes, maybe half an hour to get your ducks in a row and figure something out. But there's the other end of this kind of disaster is, what if one of yours, your family, your cousin, brother, sister, is in this area and they're affected? So when you prep, do you have in mind the possibility of adding people to your residence at the last minute? That's something I have to think about because I have family scattered all over Texas and Louisiana. But quite a few of them are in hurricane country. So it's conceivable I could get a call from one of those relatives and get asked, "Hey, I'm going to send my daughter to you, or I'm going to send my dog," or whatever the case is, and I may have to accommodate extra people, maybe an extra canine or a cat. Cats are kind of easy. You give them kibble and leave them in the corner, and they know where to pee. Um, Klingon, I couldn't answer that. I know the state has activated, the governor activated their own National Guard. And I mean, that happened quick. He was, I think that same night, he was already calling units, getting engineers and rescue teams, search and rescue, whoever they could. But again, the way the whole integrated command system works for an emergency, and this was an outcrop of the 9/11 response, right? Because that was very chaotic. The local municipality reaches out to the county reaches out to the state then reaches out to the region, and the region to the Fed, and the region's kind of like the FEMA region. So it's kind of the Fed, but not the White House Congress Fed. So they're like 3 or 4 steps, and normally it occurs quick when something like this happens. But well, that's if he can remember what happened. Yeah. Um, and this is a good point. Like, it was not horns blowing. It anybody's guess. I'll tell you what, that day, and lucky anyone else in Texas, let me know if you guys got those windstorms. But the day before, I got hit with a windstorm, which was the early part of what everyone else got. And we had no rain, no thunderclouds, because I was looking for it, because we're kind of flat in this part of Texas. But because of the way the winds hit us, there's a lot of shear winds that hit this area. So we're constantly getting winds from different sides, and it's not conducive to tornado formation, thankfully, so far. We do get them, but they're not as common. But once you get into the heart of the country toward Kentucky, those parts, you're not getting that Pacific, Gulf of Mexico, northern wind, and the cross west wind all at the same time. There, it's almost predominantly going in one direction. And yeah, the day before, it was pushing my F-150 over. Actually, there were 3-foot tumbleweeds going across the highway at driver level of a pickup truck, and then they were hitting the small cars on the side. And at least one small SUV got hit, and the tumbleweeds are super dry because it's dead. And when it hits the windshield, it just blinds you. And you could see that that car was doing this, trying to figure out where the hell to go, wound up on the shoulder, cleaning off their windshield. No damage, but it'll blind you and cause a wreck. You notice they did say that that family did put that little girl or that child in a car seat. Um, so that may have helped to a point, but they may not have gotten to her soon enough. But Mama had a good, mother had a good, where was it? I lost it. But somebody had a good point earlier, to make sure to consider putting your child in the car seat, so that if they get launched, they at least have some somewhat type of protection around them. Hello, Arleth. So, okay, so you can get tornado insured. Wait, what was that? He said bad words. Yeah, yeah. Lucky and I won't go down that ponytail, but I do agree with you. I'm waiting for that. Somehow, it's gonna. Yeah. Uh, but these kind of SHTFs. I mean, that comes out of nowhere, and you know, uh, I don't know. I don't live in the area, so I'm not super familiar with it. I don't know if homes have basements. I don't know if that's standard. I know on the East Coast, Jersey, a lot of New York, because of the geology there, you can almost every house has a basement. Hey, George Washington, how are you? Um, I don't know if Kentucky does, or if that's something you request. Houses in Texas, you can get a basement, but they're rare. You don't find them often. It's usually older homes like Cold War era homes or farm homes, like a farm dominium or whatever they call it, where it was meant as a root cellar and they converted it into a basement. Um, so I don't know. I mean, how do you deal with something like this? Uh, hey, Heroic could answer the question. In your area, if I remember correctly from my childhood days, a lot of the houses did have basements. That was pretty typical of the homes there. Is that still the case? The newer builds still have basements on the East Coast? Uh, uh, Heroic lives up there, so he's still income there. Wait, who's moving to? Oh, your friend. Okay, sorry, I lost track of that. I thought Potatoes was moving to North Carolina. I was like, so I don't know. Uh, guys, there are a lot of good videos out there on how to prepare for this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, if it's on you that quickly, you figure if you don't have an alternative area to store extra stuff and your house gets hit, which is where your preps are, your homestead. Um, okay, so the newer builds are on slabs. That's because it's cheaper. People don't want to. I mean, if I could, I'd put a basement in, absolutely. But again, in something like this, even if you had your house and you had all your preps there, and then you had an alternate location, as big as this storm was, somebody said it was 250 miles wide. It's very conceivable not only with your house, but your secondary may get hit as well. So this is tough stuff. I know there are a lot of folks. Yeah, and that's probably a good way to do it if you have people you trust in your family or circle, and you can collaborate and work together on maybe either you storing stuff there or perhaps making agreements in advance. Hey, all of us agree to store X amount extra in the event so and so has to go to so and so's house. It yeah, it's tough. It's right. And Joe, depending on your situation, you may not be able to leave, right? It may not be something you can do. You may have you know, may be cut off. You may have transportation issues. You may have family that cannot be moved in an easy manner. So you got to accommodate for that as well. Yes. And it's funny, I had a colleague who wound up living next door to a prepper, and the prepper stressed him out. And they're both nice guys, but the work colleague was stressed out. And I'm like, well, why are you stressed out? And he says, well, he says I should I should have solar backup for my water on my water well, and I should have food, and it's all doomsday stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, buddy, did you not see the hurricanes? Uh, he's going somewhere with this. He's just probably not delivering the message in a way that's conducive to you not freaking out at him. Uh, I think we've all talked about the people who just don't want to listen. Magic put out a video alive yesterday where I think it was Magic. Correct me if I'm wrong, but where he was discussing how the unprepared are going to be a problem for the rest of us because they're going to flip out. Um, yeah, and see, Joe's going to have to hunker down in those kind of scenarios. Um, oh, no worries, Loretta. And you look at like Angry Prepper Jason, he's on the island of Manhattan. Well, if something really bad happens there and they shut the bridges, he's stuck on that island. So he's going to need to kind of hunker down in place until a venue is opens where he can retreat and go meet other members of his group. He does have a local community though, where they prepare together. So it's a lot of things to factor in, guys. This kind of stuff again. Klingon and Joe made good points. If you have someone nearby who can either accommodate your preps with an agreement, you may have to go there, or if necessary, you may have to store stuff there, or at the very least, they can drop off to you. For instance, if you've had a situation, but you're still in place, your house is there, but you need those extra preps for some reason, you could try to reach out to that person and they can do a quick drop to you. Which goes to one topic some of the guys in my old guard unit in Houston and I had discussed, which was certain designated points where we said, if we lose comms, let's all meet at this Panera or this. And there were locations we knew wouldn't flood because they hadn't flooded in the past, which during Harvey didn't mean a damn thing. Um, there were certain restaurants and stores that we knew would not likely flood. And we're like, okay, if you get in a bind, go here at 11 a.m. every day. And if we lose comms, once Harvey hit, a lot of us still had cell phone. It was spotty, but we could text, and the text chain went out, and everyone was good except for one guy who said, "Don't come down here because you can't reach me anyway. I'm up to my chest in water, so stand by where you are. I'll call you if I need you." And he was able to get out and got to another location, and then we dropped stuff to him at the hotel. He actually made it to a hotel um, that had gotten ironically cut off by water on all sides. So he canoed to the hotel and he came in with his credit card and like, "Do you have rooms?" They're like, "Yeah, nobody's here because everyone's trapped away from us." So they were able to get 2 rooms, and then as things leveled off, we were able to drop supplies to him. So yeah, and that's another one. A fire is another one where you could wind up in this situation where you can't stay. You have to move. And these are difficult situations because you may not have the time to even grab your bag. Like it may be duck and cover and then find what you can, what's left. So again, a lot of these are very difficult scenarios to deal with, and it's very hard to prep for that. All you can do, make sure you maybe have your stuff scattered out a little bit, or make it very modular to where if you can find it in the rubble or in the floodwaters, you can find different things and compile what's left into something usable. So a tough situation. By the way, off the wall, as I said, off the wall is she is or they are working with a group up in Kentucky, but there are a lot of other groups that are taking donations. Again, as always, don't just give donations over the phone. You guys know this. Give it to the Red Cross or some legitimate agency. And remember, if your church group or your personal group is going to go up and donate or volunteer, check with the local emergency response before you go up there to make sure they can accommodate you and they have space, because sometimes they get inundated with volunteers and that draws manpower away from what the search and rescue to deal with the volunteers. And not all the volunteers are certified or can physically do what needs to be done. So don't draw away from the responders, but if you can, reach out and see, are they taking um, donations, or if not, is there a church that was not in the affected group or a shelter that you can donate to there? And that way you're not distracting the responders from doing what they have to do. So just something to think about. We had a lot of volunteers during Harvey that wanted to go to Beaumont, and law enforcement lost control of part of Beaumont during Harvey to where the guard convoys were turning around. One of our convoys turned around because people started throwing rocks at the truck because they wanted him to stop right at that parking lot. And the guys had a designated place to go. They're like, "We're not stopping here. We're going to our place." And they started throwing rocks at the vehicles and trying to open the doors. And the NCOIC said, "Nope, this doesn't fly." He called it in and they turned the whole convoy around. They wound up coming back with MPs from Fort Hood and some state troopers, and then they got it under control. And it was a minority of people, right? It was maybe 3 to 5% being idiots, but the other 95% suffered an extra 2 days without supplies because of a group of idiots. So make sure you touch base with those responders and make sure any donations are acceptable, and also that they can accommodate your volunteer or your equipment, or they can redirect you and say, go to this place and donate there. So just important to keep in mind. And wait, something happened to Shorty here. Oh no. Oof. That's not bueno. Yeah. And it's horrifying when you think about it, because you may not, hey widget, what's going on? You may not realize, it's you don't really, I guess the gravity of that kind of situation doesn't hit you until you're in the middle of it. So yeah, that's scary stuff. That is really scary stuff. Um, Speaking of scary, I'm gonna switch gears here on you guys. The so For those of you who weren't aware, the United States has declared a diplomatic boycott of China for the 2022 Olympics. Now, what that means for those of you, oh, it's still you're still getting rain? Holy cow! Yikes! Yeah, anyone who has suggestions for Shorty's situation, since she's now in the middle of it, feel free to throw them in the comments. I'm absolutely about you guys collaborating on the chat. Um, and anything that's a really good recommendation, I'll pop it up on the discussion. So, for those of you who weren't aware, the United States is going to diplomatically boycott the 2022 Olympics, and what that means is basically politicians, official dignitaries will not be attending. The competitors will attend. Oh, that's a good question. Hey, Shelly. I think Shelly snuck in on me here. Um, Guys, what part of the country is that, by the way? Is that in the Northeast, or is that in the same area? That's so basically the competitors will continue to go to the event, but no formal dignitaries. Okay, so it's up northwest, or kind of, you're almost middle continent, but okay. Now, Shorty, I have to ask a question because my son was FFA. He had a bunch of chickens, and two of them drowned in rain. Is the chicken as a species that ignorant? Because he swore up and down. He said some chickens are amazingly stupid, and there's rain, and not that they flooded from below. It's just the water hit them and they freak out and keel over. And I thought he was pulling my chain. No, it is not a can. It is actually a insulated cup, and it's actually a rock size cup. So for my whiskey sours. Um, but so the U.S. is not going to the event formally. The competitors will, and China made a statement that was way over the top. Okay, so chickens and turkeys are stupid. Okay, yeah. He said he had show chickens. I don't know what they were called, real pretty ones, and he said those were extremely quick to react to stuff. But like the broilers he was raising were absolutely stupid. He said, Dad, they were so dumb I couldn't wait to get them processed and sell them to people because I just didn't enjoy being around those birds. They smelled and they're dumb. But um, tell you what, that was a lot. If and when I get my little homestead, I will. Yes, actually, with bourbon, it gives it a really rich taste. I do like that. Um, so, but yeah, okay. So apparently, chickens and turkeys will drown from rain hitting them. It gets in their beaks and they die. Uh, and I just wanted to confirm because my son has a sense of humor as bad as mine. And oh, that's not cool. It's like devil turkeys. Yikes. So anyway, so we're officially boycotting them diplomatically, and China got really bent out of shape about it. Normally, they just make a statement like "all of you suck," whatever, to America, and everyone moves on. But they said something here that I really didn't like. Let me see. I think this is the right videos. Bear with me just a second. This is off Al Jazeera for those of you who are. Uh, let me see if I can get that. Share audio, and let me know if you can see that. All right. So let me know if I have audio and I didn't screw it up again. Oh, heck, I don't even hear it. Hold on. Yeah, I knew that was, let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's try that again. I didn't even hear the audio, so I'm pretty sure you guys weren't going to.
Uniforms are ready,
Whoop-ass.
and thousands of event staff have been hired. But there will be fewer guests attending when the Games opens in Beijing in February. The United States has announced a diplomatic
You guys
boycott,
can hear it?
citing concerns about China's human rights record. Only American athletes and not officials will be present. Beijing says the move is an act of political manipulation.
The U.S. approach seriously violates the principle of political neutrality of sports, established by the Olympic Charter, runs counter to the Olympic motto of more unity, and stands on the opposite side of the vast number of
Thank
athletes
you.
and sports enthusiasts all over the world.
Washington says China's treatment of Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang amounts to genocide. Rights groups say forced labor and sterilization are rife. Accusations repeatedly dismissed by the Chinese government.
Xinjiang has effectively guaranteed people of all ethnic groups they are masters of their own affairs.
Other countries, including the United Kingdom and Canada, are also considering diplomatic boycotts. Analysts say this will escalate tensions and do little to change China's behavior.
It will have virtually no or zero impact on their policies in Xinjiang or their policies in Hong Kong.
Relations between the US and China have dramatically shifted and chilled since Beijing hosted the Summer Olympics in 2008, which former US President George W. Bush attended.
China is just trying to figure out exactly what all of this stuff means. Is it just political posturing ahead of the midterms next year by a president who is unpopular? Or does this reflect a long-term systematic and structural differences between the countries?
The US has also applauded the Women's Tennis Association for suspending all tournaments in China for concerns about the well-being of Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai, who has not spoken publicly after accusing a senior official of sexual assault.
The Chinese government says it will respond with firm countermeasures, but it hasn't released details as to what those.
Okay, so needless to say, China's butt hurt, but they made a comment. I thought this was a video. I may not have gotten the right one, but in that speech, you saw the Chinese spokesman, the one Chinese man. But that same guy actually said the U.S. military has committed war crimes all over the world, and that the commanders and members of the United States military should be brought to justice by the international community, since America will not comply with punishing them. And that I thought was really. Oh, y'all have some evil pets. Yeah, please, Joe. A turkey and Shorty had a goat that attacked her. Didn't D9 get hurt? Was it a pig or a goat that clobbered her, and she got like a broken arm? It's that's bad. But anyway, Yeah, this evil pets. I'm not sure if I want a homestead now. A bunch of angry goats. But but they actually went so far as to say that the UN should do like a Nuremberg type trial on U.S. military personnel, and not the ones that have blatantly committed, like raped someone or they murdered someone, just like in general. A ram, thank you. Thought it was a big animal, but it wasn't a cow. I just couldn't remember what it was in between. Angry Goats. That would be the new video game. Angry Birds, now version 2.0, Angry Goats. Um, I'll tell you what, goats can be jerks, and sadly they can climb, and they're relatively smart, which is which can be problematic. Yeah, it's the fact that China's saying this, it's probably all political puffery, all right? It's just this because China, everyone has inflation. Everyone, the Chinese, the Russians, no matter who you talk to, they all have inflation. So they're all posturing so that we'll pay attention to this stupidity and not the fact that they can't run their countries. Ouch. That's not cool at all. Yeah. So angry goats. And guys, I gotta confess, since this was kind of getting into getting close to the holidays, I wanted to kind of keep it a little more informative, but I really didn't have a major plan like I normally do. Angry goats. Okay, I'm gonna do a YouTube search of angry goats. I just want to see. Let's see. Do they really attack people like that? Because I'm sure they do. Okay, do you guys want to see an angry goat attack some dude? It's my dad's goat. So, one of my somebody I know, one of the local farmers at the farmers market has, when she goes into her goats and sheep, she has two border collies and two corgis, and they go like side by side. They basically make a box around her, and every now and then she says a goat will come out at her, or one of the critters will come and puff up, and the dogs will form a wedge and just, well, they do what they do, right? The border collies will make like a wedge in front of her, and the corgis will go through their legs because they're short and come charging out and start biting them right above their hoof on their, like where their ankle would be, and it freaks them out and they run away. I was like, man, that's some well-trained dogs. So okay, let's see. To Shorty's point, let's see if I thought this would be fun to share. Let's see. This is from, it just says funny videos. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't get me in trouble on the tube. Can you guys see that? Okay. Oh! Damn. Oh! Oh, I did not see that coming. Damn, dude. Get off the floor. Get off the floor. Oh, God. Oh, that was so bad. Did y'all see that? Dude, that goat kicked his ass. Oh, man. That's, I don't know if I want goats now. That's, yeah, Shorty, you may have cured me of that. Oh, Lord. Hey, Monique. Don't like geese now except to eat. My nephew is a 6'3" firefighter and a rock climber, and to this day he's scared of goats, not goats, geese. Well, he doesn't like them because when he was a little boy, my sister said, "Hey, can you take him out and go to the park with him?" Because her husband was an oaf. He was golfing or something. I'm like, "Sure, I'll take him to the park." So I took him to the park, and he was trying to feed the geese, and I kept telling him, "Don't mess with the geese. The geese are ornery." And he's like, "No, no, Uncle Pete, I want to play with him." And I guess he did the wrong thing. And I turn around here, yeah, and I turn around, and there's like 30 freaking Canadian geese, with their wings up and their heads down, all charging this boy at one time. And his eyes were complete panic. Thank God the kid could run even at that age. I mean, he was moving. But yeah, he definitely didn't like. Man, geese are evil too. But damn, that goat messed that dude up. Oh, here's another one. Okay, just Shorty's getting a whole dedication here to angry goats. So, all right, let's see. All right. Oh. No, don't turn your back. Don't turn your back. Don't turn your back. He's going to smack that lady. You see, she turns around and he turns his head. He waits for her to turn her back. Well, that's not cool. Never seen a person fight a goat. Tackle him. Oh. You're doing it wrong, dude. There you go. Dude. Y'all need to bring dogs, people. That goat's on a tear. Is that a cop? Well, yeah, and to the point, that was a ram, wasn't it, Joe? I mean, that's okay. That first cattle prods. Yeah, that was Joe. That was yeah. She did get badly hurt. She wound up in the hospital. That wasn't a goat though. That was like a full ram. That was like that first video I showed you. A ram is no joke. That's what 250 pounds of angry. And if it had its horns, even if they were nubbed out, yeah, a horn in the eye or just some cracked ribs, you don't need the horn. I mean, even if they nub the horns on a goat. Oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. That animal would become soup or caldo or something. Cabrito. Those of you from Texas, you know what that is, and those tacos are amazingly yummy. Now I'm hungry. Shoot. Hey, Yardbirds, by the way, and there were a few other people. Arlith, hello, Yardbirds. Someone else came in, and Monique, hello, hello. Geese don't want to play. No, they absolutely don't want to play. They're the most unpleasant birds ever. So, guys, so anyway, okay, so thus far we've learned tornadoes are bad, and angry goats are bad, and angry rams, and wow, this is okay. So don't piss off farm creatures without your dog, because you can actually get hurt. I mean, that first guy with a ram hit him after he had already been knocked down and his head hit the concrete. You know that was a concussion, right? What I don't understand is why the guy. Well, I guess the guy filming was in a car because he didn't look like he was standing. So I guess if I was in a car and someone was getting their ass kicked by their own rams and goats, I would not get out to help this person. I guess I'd honk my horn or maybe slowly drive through. Yeah, actually, today I did a fail. I was taking some footage and I went into a lease road on foot. And I was in sweatpants. It was near where I live. And it was an access road that goes through the power lines. And I just want to get some footage and look at the local terrain because I haven't had a chance to do that. And I'm about a mile into this area. And and it wasn't marked. So, and it was on the other side of an oil and gas lease. So the oil and gas was marked, but my side wasn't. And I was like, okay, some kind of weird easement. And I get to the end, and there were a bunch of hog or javelina digs where they root out. And when I saw that, I was like, they're probably napping at this point in the day, but I really need to not be here. So, guys, remember, if you're out there, the animals can hurt you. D9, sadly, she got badly hurt. Hey, Catskill, welcome, welcome. And just be careful of those. So, all right, there was one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. Oh, everyone's favorite topic. I believe. So, really. So I got this just before I started the video, and I'm gonna have to read this puppy to you because it's so I think across the board, right? So you have Lucky Stewart, myself. We're here all in Texas. There are a couple others in Texas. I know some of y'all are in Idaho. Some of you guys are in the Pacific Northwest. Some of you are on the East Coast. We're all seeing it. The inflation, the cost, right? And what we're trying to do at this point is try and keep ahead of the prices as they go. I don't know if y'all saw this, but as of 340 Pacific would have been 540 East Coast. Stocks fell broadly Tuesday on Wall Street as new data showing that inflation is still running high put a spotlight on what action the Federal Reserve will take as it holds its last meeting of the year. Ugh, I can't read. Standard & Poor's 500 index fell almost 1%, 0.7, adding to its losses from a day earlier. Nearly 70% of the companies in the benchmark fell. Dow Jones dropped 0.3, NASDAQ 1.1. The Labor Department reported that prices at the wholesale level surged by a record 9.6%. And yeah, that's Cat Lady. Didn't you have another one come really low earlier? Businesses have been dealing with supply chain problems and higher costs for months. It has been a key concern for investors as big companies are passing the cost to consumers. So I saw another report, and I don't have it here, that said our apparent inflation, our increased cost on our end, is not they originally predicted it would be 6% in November. It came out 9.6. That may not sound like a lot, but that's a 30% miss on their numbers. Now think about that. If you went to work and you were off by 30%, you'd probably be talking to HR right now. Over 30% miss. But they said the consumer prices surged 6.8%. I've read one report that's saying what they call, I guess, the apparent effect to us as consumers is on the order of 15 to 20%. And I've seen it. I mean, I look at certain canned goods, like certain type of canned bean, propane tanks, ground beef. You pick like 4 or 5 things in the market, the gallon of 87 or 89 octane. Look at where it was then, and then look now. And wow. Hey, Stewart's prepping. Howdy. Yeah, that's and see, Monique, I think in Canada it's worse because of the decision. I mean, I think it's government stupidity across the board in a lot of things. But there's the Rona, there was supply chain, there've been natural disasters. There's a lot of things happening at once. I think Joe had pointed out what was the phrase you used, Joe? It was along the lines of overlapping or cascading issues. One of us, a lot of us have discussed it, and Joe had mentioned it in another chat. But here you're looking at, I mean, even, and this is a Los Angeles Times, who's always going to make it sunny for the president. And yeah, they're even saying, yeah, this is kind of starting to suck. It's not good. And then let's see what oh, and then to add to it, so fucking Walmart. Joe's still angry at Walmart. I don't know if this video will come up. Give me a second here. No, I pissed it off. Hang on. It's thinking. All right, maybe not. It's going to wait till I close the screen, and then it's going to do it again. Seriously? Okay, well, it has a commercial, so we'll pause that for a minute. I was eating. Wait. Well, there you go. I mean, the stock profile is down a third from last. I believe it. I believe it. So, yeah, this doesn't have the article I was hoping it would have. It's other gibberish. So here we go. All right, I found it. So we're going to continue to see this. We're going to continue to battle this, and I'm really not sure if they know what to do. So the Dow Jones fell 106 points. But okay, so here again, the producer price index increased 9.6%. Keep in mind, that's 9.6% in November. Prices went up in a month. See, so at least they're stating 9.6% in November. A lot of other news venues will be like, oh, it's increased 9.6. And it doesn't sound bad, but it's 9.6 in November from what we had in October. October had gone up 7% from September. You see where this is going. So if you kind of averaged it out and prorated it, we're probably at a 40% increase. I don't know. I need to sit down and do those numbers. The latest inflation check came as the Federal Reserve kicked off its two-day policy meeting on Tuesday. Central bank is expected to initiate a faster tapering of its bond buying program and signal it will raise interest rates next year in an effort to mitigate inflation. So at this point, that may be the only tool they have, is to raise the inflation rate a little bit. Hey, Larry, how are you? Hoping my chickens keep laying. I missed a whole conversation about chickens. But on the economic data, National Federation of Independent Businesses Small Business Optimism Index jumped 98.4%. The number of small business owners who expect better conditions over the next 6 months fell 1 point in November. So yeah, I don't have context for what they're trying to tell us here. You know, I had a chance to buy GameStop at $3 and I didn't, because I just done a paper on them, and the paper was a year ago, and it was like, yeah, they're going to get bought out and it's not going to go up very much. And then the investor rebels went and puffed up the stock. I'm feeling kind of bummed about that. Beyond Meat. What the hell is that? Plant-based meat produce. Nope. Okay. So anyway, plant-based meat producers. Why don't they just say tofu? Can't they be honest? Anyway, 6 eggs a day right now. See, that's not bad. So guys, we're going to keep seeing that inflationary effect. And it will translate because of the reduced drilling. And again, it's certain decisions that are being made are exacerbating the situation. You have the increased fuel costs, which are rolling into the consumer products, in addition to the shortages of whatever the hell else people can't find. So is vegetarian? Oh, okay. So it's just basically like soy and tofu based. Here's your simulated taco meat kind of thing. Gotcha. Gracias. Not necessarily soy. Could gluten. So I guess if you're gluten intolerant or whatever that is, then you're just kind of hosed. and apparently was still telling stories about the devil turkey. Somebody needs to post pictures of these evil turkeys because those are not small birds. So we're going to keep seeing those inflationary effects, guys. They are predicting a cold winter. It got hellaciously cold here a couple of days ago, which was really unexpected. Actually, our forecast here had snow Friday of this week, but that changed. And that's not common in this area that early. It's usually January, February. Hey, Northern Girl, how are you? Yes, this, by the way, she has an Avon page. So, Northern, put your Avon thing up there if you can find it. Wait, somebody has pictures of the devil turkey? I want to see. Northern Girl just walks in and goes, "What the hell's a devil turkey?" We're talking about animals that beat people up. So, it gives Macron his UK revenge. So, one last article, and this is why I said last week, I was looking for the article. There's a lot of political puffery, but it will benefit nobody if we get into shooting wars with each other. I mean, absolutely none. This one's a USA Today, and USA Today kind of leans center right on a lot of their opinions, which I thought was okay. You know, it's kind of not way off. Okay. And Lucky's making dinner for everyone. Woo! All right. So can it be really true at this date in 2021? A large-scale war in Europe is again possible. This person goes into the conjecturing. Basically, the gist of it is he's saying NATO membership won't prevent a war, and we may want to consider rethink continually expanding NATO because what we're doing is encroaching on Russia and encroaching on China, and it's just complicating things. It's not really gaining anything. So yeah, Joe, that I agree. It's where's my mouse? Here we go. It's generally just a lot of puffery. My biggest fear is that somebody will screw up. You have a lot of planes and tanks and troops in proximity, and someone will make a mistake. That was the premise of General Sheriff's book. And although it was fictional, it was based on actual, strategic knowledge that he had of that specific region. That would be the worst case, is someone screws up, right? Someone gets too close to someone else's aircraft carrier, something gets shot down, and everyone gets pissed off. Other than that, it doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. It just wouldn't make any sense. So this, and I could be wrong. Tomorrow we could have air raid sirens, God forbid. But I'm honestly thinking this is just a lot of political blah. You look at that inflation report for us. Yeah, war will alleviate inflation, but it can also destroy a country or a society or destroy several. And that in the long term isn't going to help anyone. So we'll keep an eye. I'm going to keep an eye on this whole Ukraine thing. I have some. Yeah, they are. We need to keep an eye on it just to be aware. There's really nothing we can do other than to continue to stock up on the things we need. In the chat, there was a lot of good info for those of you who are coming in a little later. Oh, there we go. Catskill Northern Girl left you a note. Check it out. She saw it, Jen. I know sometimes I lose the chat and then I can't figure out who's. So just keep in mind, folks, a lot of moving parts, continued inflationary effect, 10% just in the last month. So it's going to hurt. So try again, buy those things in bulk. Do what Joe did. Find those alternate suppliers. Do what Heroic is trying to do on the East Coast, right? He's looking for different suppliers, maybe buy in groups with other people. Shorty and a lot of other folks growing their own chickens, the eggs, angry goats. We were joking about the videos earlier. But if you can, even if you can if you're getting a 10% increase in the cost of goods and food, and you can remove 10 to 20% of what you normally buy at the store and make it yourself or grow it yourself at home, that makes you less dependent. Okay, I'll look for it. Tag me on it, cat lady. Good luck, Northern Girl. Where was I going? I just lost my train of thought. It's been one of those weeks. Continue to remove anything you'd normally buy from your supply chain dependency. I don't know if that's a thing or a phrase, but you kind of know what I'm talking about. So obviously you can't make propane unless you have a little refinery somewhere. You can grow eggs, you can grow vegetables, you can maybe make use of other things around to grow or take things out of the supply chain so you're not as dependent on this stuff. That's going to kind of offset some of this inflationary effect. Okay, remember the power of the suppliers, but there's also the power of the buyers, and that's you guys. That's what we have. And the power of the buyers in a bulk has power. The buyer going to another supplier has power. These things can affect you in a positive way. So try to take those steps, guys. But just keep these things in mind as you guys go forward. I'm hoping I should be doing a live Saturday, and I will probably not be doing lives next week as we will have extended family and friends over. And at the very least, it's probably just too many people to do a live, and I may not be coherent enough to do a live on at least 2 of those nights. So we won't be doing the lives. I'm going to try to pre-record some stuff for next week. But guys, look, it's going to go through the holidays. Plan ahead. If you have leftovers, a lot of the folks, the creators on this channel, have all sorts of cooking tips. You have leftover turkey, can it. If you have veggies, dehydrate them, whatever you can to save some stuff so you're not having to go to the store. You're less dependent on the supply chain. The less food you're throwing out, or you can repurpose for another meal, the better off you are to offset that inflation. So that would be a great live. Well, the boy who came from deployment last year will be here with my new daughter-in-law. So I'm very excited to meet her in person finally. And he and I may do a beer pong live. We're pondering it. Since he's active, I want to be sure that doesn't get anyone in trouble. It won't get me in trouble other than I'll get razzed at work. Either that or they'll complain they weren't invited because the people I work with are all crazy people. Okay. True American is great on how to can leftovers. Okay, so guys, look, dig in there, and there's a lot of different groups on Discord. Try to jump in on some of them. You could trade a lot of notes. Discord can get chaotic. I'm learning. There's stuff everywhere, so you kind of have to organize yourself when you're on there. But Feliz Navidad, Monique. Thank you. But I may do a quick live next week. Maybe not. But in any case, guys, we're at an hour and 15 minutes. So I know you guys, their other channels are coming on if they haven't already come on. And Loretta is a canning genius. Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, we need to see. So guys, check out these channels. Thank you, Cat Lady. Guys, remember, if you can offset that inflationary effect, in theory, it won't last forever. Obviously, if it all comes crumbling down, we won't have YouTube and we'll have all sorts of other problems. But offset, do what the companies are doing. They're going to different suppliers or they're sourcing internally. They're getting vertically and horizontally integrated. Try to do the same on a personal level. And yes, and I'm hoping to get my daughter on my next live after the holidays. She is a trauma vet tech. I don't know if I said that right. And her insight on animal injuries and how to stock a first aid kit for your dogs and how to assess and triage animals when they're trying to bite you because they're panicked. It's amazing. She's hands down. There were several law enforcement agencies in her area that know her by name because of the work she did for their canines. So uh, I'm going to try and get her on live because I think pet prepping is important. Uh, but in any case, guys, be good, be safe, Godspeed. If I don't see you guys again in person before Christmas, God bless you all. Have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. Don't drink and drive. Be drunk in the Uber and make the guy or girl laugh because they're probably needing the money if they're working on those nights. Uh, yeah, and you can't do it all, but do the most you can. So yeah, and she actually worked a ranch. She was the on-site vet tech for a ranch at one point. So her insights are just phenomenal, and she's a lot prettier than her dad. Uh, but she's got dad's mouth, so you guys will love her. In any case, folks, God bless. Take care. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Remember, I want everyone back after the new year so we can all party and see what weirdness 2022 brings. You guys take care. Thank you, Klingon, and all of you guys be safe out there. And by all means, if you get a chance, take some time and just relax. Enjoy the holidays, being with friends, or just taking some time for reflection. Take care, guys. We'll see you later.